would you say did the coronavirus, COVID-19, help you to become more authentic?
It's now or never.
Okay.
It's now or never. Like the confronting fact of death. I mean, we all know that we're going to die, but suddenly it's like, look, so many people dying. And, oh my God, I have to do it now.
Yes.
And forget about imposter syndrome and I'm not good enough, or it is not ready, and all those things. Okay, now I'm going to do it. And that's been really amazing.
I want to welcome you all to our podcast with Blanca. And before we start, I'm going to read something to you guys that she wrote to me in preparation. I need to read it, so I want to get it perfectly clear. When women actually awaken to their own feminine power and worth, the global economy will change. We will take radically different business decisions, and this is a matter of utmost importance for the future of humanity and the world. Wow. I read that sentence several times, Blanca. I was like, okay, wow. On one hand, it puts a lot of pressure on us women, which I like. I totally like that. And at the same time, it opens that door of hope that God, things could actually be different when there are more female decision takers, or also for the men when they allow the female powers to shine. So our podcast today will be about feminine power, about self-worth, about money. And I'm very excited about that. So let me ask the first question to you. What was the deciding moment for you to say, it's all about that?
Wow. Wow. Well, let me tell you that this year I became 50. The story of my life is so eventful. So much has happened in my life. It is just I think I want to write my biography. It's just so full of quick twists and turns, including all kinds of drama. So I want to divide the story of my life in 3 stages. The first one was the anger with the feminine and the desire to be the strongest, the toughest, the most masculine. I don't need anything from anybody. And I succeeded, you know. I got a master's, an engineering master's degree. I got an MBA. I learned my languages. I was 35 and I was the boss with that job in an outsourcing company working for the European Space Agency. My colleagues were in their 50s, men with families, and I was a young girl, of course single, because there was no man who was good enough for me, okay? You know, I will smoke cigars and drink champagne, I have the fast car, decide over millions of euros, and the job of dozens of people. And I was just as most masculine than any other man.
Why? I mean,
exactly.
Because the thing is, I mean, I can like, you could have described me there. So, and I started to wonder, why did I turn into that sort of a woman, or nearly man? What drove that? So I pass on that question to you. What drove you to become that strong, level-headed woman?
Because I hated the feminine. And
why did you hate the feminine?
I hated my mom.
Ah.
Of course, because she was feminine and beautiful and perfect, and my father left her for another beautiful and feminine woman. So my mother was bad because she was so weak that she was abandoned, and the feminine was so bad that this woman who was so feminine and beautiful was the aggressor. So there was no way in which any woman could do good. So the only way to be good was to be a man.
Okay.
Either you are the weak and the Virgin Mary like my mom, or you are the wicked witch like the lover. And there is no other chance for women to be, so therefore the only opportunity is to be like a man.
Okay. Now I understand.
Of course, I did not, and of course the story of the feminists, you know, women to the top, and if you study, of course, STEM degree, I had an engineering degree, then you can do it. So that was the door for me to freedom. And of course, to freedom, that brought me to, you know, I think I almost had a heart attack. Pain in my left arm very often. The white of my eyes was yellow. I have my period about twice a year. My hair started falling. I was really ill, but I was tough. And there was a moment when I really constantly I went to an event on career management, and they asked me, what are the things that you love? Oh, I started writing the things I love. Oh, I love this, I love that. And then the question came, how much of this is in your life? Oh, 2%. I will never forget, it was 2%. Not even 10%, 2%. And I said, I hate this. I don't want this life. I want out of it. Like this. I was out of that, and I went to discover who I was from scratch. I started doing my own soul searching. I started doing my own story, understanding my mother, understanding my father, my aunt, my history, the really old history of my country, old history of women in general. And I turned around my life. I opened for love. I got so healthy. I lost the weight, the hair came back. I got pregnant, delivered children at 41 and 43 at home without any anesthetics, and I could say it was a static birth. I went all the way, boom, to the other side. I went to the other side, to the feminine. I started learning to ask for help, 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 until I became all the way to the other side, until I became the damsel in distress. You know, and my husband, because he loved me, he saved me, and he paid bills, and my business was doing nothing. I studied coaching. I get all my coaching services for free. I was exactly in the opposite. The rich moment, that was like about 3 years ago, in which I had a breakdown. I cannot continue this way, not making money. I really cannot continue this way. So I closed the business and I started doing a second soul searching. And then is when I discovered the pattern. I hate women, and I can have money but not love and not health, or I am totally feminine, and greed and the man and masculine are my servants because I am the damsel in distress and I cannot do anything. And I said, this is not possible. This is not possible. I have to merge both. And I started doing my own internal work and figure out what happened to me and why this happened to me. And that's when I remembered the big thing, which was the skeleton in the closet that I didn't want to know. The biggest skeleton in the closet is that when I was little, when I was 14, I was sexually abused. And I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to see it. And that's the reason why I went to old masculine. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why I don't deserve love. And then that's the reason why I don't deserve money. When I understood how it was linked, our shame, our guilt, our sexuality with money, with the masculine, with the public, I was like, oh, this is linked within me. this is what has been happening with women. And then I started studying, and I learned that what happened to your great-great-great-grandma 7 generations before you, you still carry it in your DNA. And okay, I was sexually abused personally in this body. But what about my mother? What about her mother and her grandmother and her grandmother? I mean, how many women were in wars here in Europe? All the women in Second World War that were sexually abused, and in previous wars. And think about Eve and the original sin, the shame that we carry, women. We took men out of paradise, and we have to, for eternity, pay, because it's shameful to be a woman. If you are sexy, you are a prostitute. If you make money, if you make money, how do you make money? Do you make it from a man? You are a gold digger. If you make it on your own, you are a she-wolf. Who do you think you are? You're a bitch. There is no exit for a woman to be everything that she can be. So when I saw that that was such a personal story for me, I said, I need to get this out into the world. And I was so damaged at that point that I swear to you, first thing I did was a thing that was for free. And I was amazed. People went. And I started digging more on myself, and okay, this is not okay. I'm not valuing my worth. I charged 20 euros. And people went. And I've been discovering my worth and expressing myself better. And as I told you just before you press play, this year, the coronavirus really woke me up, because this story is so full of shame and guilt and tears that I didn't dare to talk about it. This year, it was now or never. This year is really, we women have to awaken to our power and really acknowledge that that story of shame is just a veil, an illusion. Because the reality is that we are extremely powerful. We are extremely powerful. And what is extremely powerful? The holding the space, the silence, the beauty. You know, we have sentences. I come from Mexico. In Mexico, we say something like, a woman pulls harder than 20 donkeys. Women can change realities really quickly without doing basically anything. And that's something that we don't realize. But it's really to stand up in our power, show those values, and things are going to start moving. It is astonishing. It is really astonishing. And I am not saying doing nothing is like the law of attraction thing, you know, like think about the Lamborghini and do nothing. No. Think about what is really valuable for you. What is really valuable for you? Better education system for the children, a cleaner ocean. Okay, what is that? What's your intention? Set that intention, communicate it with people, and see how things are going to move, and move accordingly. It's what I have figured out is what they mean by women are water. Women are water, with the most powerful force in creation. We can be like the drop that just tick, 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 could drive it crazy. We are like the waterfall that moves everything. We are like the storm. We're like the ocean that goes and goes and creates the sand. The power of of women, that's the feminine. That is the feminine. Create the jungle. Create, I mean, without water, we wouldn't be in this world.
I do like that image of women are like water. Let me just go back into the story, because I can see people sort of saying, yeah, but I for example, I haven't been sexually assaulted. And so, you know, I don't carry that shame. I think I want to underline something what you said. Women in our generation, I'm the same age, their mothers and grandmothers. My grandmother, that's the Second World War generation. We all carry it. Don't make the mistake of thinking just because it didn't happen to me, I'm not affected by it. If you look into family constellation work, if you look at the patterns of behaviors, those women went through hell in the war, and they carried, I mean, I know for myself, my grandmother carried shame all her life, and she talked about it on her deathbed to her daughter, my mum, passing on a bit of the burden to my mum, and then obviously to me, and now I have two daughters. So it's I find that really important that the women and the men who listen understand it didn't have to happen to you personally for you to be affected. Wouldn't you agree?
Totally. And it is that's something that I have heard very often, that they tell me, I have not been sexually abused, or I love my mother, or I love my father. Yes, it's not necessarily that you were coming from a dysfunctional family, or they were coming from a dysfunctional culture, but switch on the television. Mm-hmm. I invite you to switch on the television. Naked women with a small G-string, that is abuse. That is treating women like objects. Mm-hmm. Go to the newspaper and see the women who say, we can do it. That is also wrong, because that is to devaluating the feminine and just valuing the masculine. We have a history of 5,000 years of just adoring the masculine. If you speak, that's good. If you're quiet, that's bad. You have to be masculine. Who wins in a war? The person who kills the most people. Just the masculine. All that has been, I hate to use it, but this word, but this is a trauma. It's a social trauma. It's a trauma of the women. And we have to look at it, because as we ignore it and repress it, it just grows and grows. Many women talk to me and tell me, Blanca, I don't know why I'm not able to speak up in meetings. I don't know why I'm not able to put a video in YouTube, or a Facebook Live, or I want to do a podcast, but I just don't do it. You think that you don't do it just because of the technology? Give me a break. The technology right now is just as simple as what? You don't do it because the ancestral beliefs you have. And we are all affected. All affected. Look at the books, look at the internet, look at the radio, look at the television. We are all affected. The jokes. Are you going to get married, or are you committing suicide?
Well, it starts much earlier. I have conversation with my daughters, so they are 13 and just turned 15. And we have conversations about the dress code in the secondary school. There are rules, there are rules for the boys and the girls, but then the girls, they have extra rules. The top mustn't be too short, and I find it appalling. Why do girls have to wear certain things or not wear certain things because of how other people, the boys, the man, feel about it? I don't bloody care. If I want to wear something that makes me feel good, well, get a life if it makes you feel uncomfortable. But it starts that early. And it's also, let me just stress what you said earlier, it's the language. God, people listen to the language you're using when you're praising a man. And well, if you ever praise a woman. But take the same behavior and look at what a man would be called doing it. He's assertive, he's strong, he's determined. The very same behavior a woman does, well, they're not so nice words, and I shall not repeat them.
Yeah.
So there's the question, Blanca. How can we actually get to that place of saying, well, I am worth it. It is perfectly okay for me to ask that sort of amount of money for my services, for my knowledge. How do we get there?
Well, the first step of what you said is gigantic. It's gigantic.
Yes.
Because it's to realize that there is a veil and there is nothing wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
Because in all the research that I have been doing, the language is that you have the mother wound, mm-hmm. that you have anti-patriarchy disorder. No, excuse me, no. There is a veil of perception that doesn't allow you to see your magnificence. Mm-hmm. There is nothing wrong with you. So first we have to take the language away.
Yes, repeat that sentence. That's important.
There is nothing wrong with women. Nothing wrong with women. It is a veil of perception that is not allowing us to see our magnificence. There is nothing wrong with me. There is nothing wrong with you. Nothing. Nothing. Nothing wrong with being beautiful, with the size of your waist. There is nothing wrong with your tone of voice. There is nothing wrong with your ideas. Nothing. Just get the veil out. Now, what is going to happen is that the programming is going to affect you again constantly because the television is going to go, because your neighbor is going to say. So what you have to do is notice. And what I tell all my customers is pattern interrupt. Pattern interrupt. I notice the programming. That's a programming. That television program, that the comment of my mother, the comment of, no, or even my thoughts, that's a pattern. Okay, that's a pattern. Let's do something else. And then we take a different action. Of course, we have to center and take the action. And then there is another important thing to be able to do this. You cannot do it alone. The difference between men and women is men are very much of the hierarchy. If men are in a hierarchy, they thrive. That's the reason why they have created armies, you know, very, very triangular. Men created armies, men created governments, men created religions that are triangular. And if you are into drawing, you get triangles and you draw a beautiful body of a man. We are not like that. We are circles. We are circles. We need a sisterhood. You need to hang out with other women. You cannot imagine how healing it was for me to start hanging out with women. I started discovering the feminine. I started discovering other ways to reply to my husband, which was loving and inclusive and keeping that relationship alive and beautiful, taking care of plants, taking care of children, taking care of businesses in a circular, feminine, organic way. And this is really to break the hierarchy, is to break the hierarchy. And that's a future. I'm very much into history and futurology. All futurologists say that the future is feminine, the future is networks. Where we are in internet. Who is listening to us? Could be in South Africa, could be in Colombia, could be in Seoul. It's network. And that is feminine. So to be able to do this transformation for yourself, sure, do it within, but surround yourself with women who will hold you, support you, carry you, comfort you, cry with you. Surround yourself with women. I cannot stress it enough.
Men are very good at networking. They're really, really good at calling the guy they met 5 years ago in a bar and say, look, I need a favor. And the guy will do the favor because he knows somehow the favor will get returned. Women are different. So how do we find the right circle of women who uplift us, who hold the circle, and who go in with the mindset of inclusion, cooperation.
I was a bully. I was a queen bee. I was competitive. I will not allow another woman to be there. Why? Because I had a low self-esteem. And what happens is that like attracts like. I was bullied. I didn't know what it was to have lovely women around me. It started with one who was absolutely adorable, an older woman. So she started showing me how it could be. And I started flipping a little bit. And then I found another one. And it's a gradual process. It all starts with you. So if you say, have I attracted this woman who is bullying me? Before you say it's her fault, you think about, is there possibly something that I did? For the ones who are listening in the podcast, I am using my hand, and when we point fingers to somebody else, but you point a finger to somebody, there are 3 fingers that pointing out at yourself. So in the moment we are pointing fingers at somebody else is a moment of self-reflection and to say, is it possible that I could change something? I love this quote, and that's the quote that I have in my signature already for years. Be extra kind to everybody because they are fighting some kind of battle. I have discovered that every single woman who has bullied me has suffered huge trauma. All of them, all of them, all of them. So when when anybody bullies me, I get this super, super, super extra load of compassion towards that person. And I just send compassion to that person and I go away. I don't need to save them. I don't need to heal them. I'm not their psychologist. I'm not their priest. I'm not Superman. I'm not Superwoman. I'm not God. I walk away. First, I send them love, and then I leave. I love to. I love psychology, and I've been studying a lot about sociopaths and psychopaths. Bullies are in the borderline of sociopathic, psychopathic behavior. They are very difficult to deal with. They are very difficult to heal. So if you find a person like that, the best is to surround yourself with love and send love to that person and really walk away. If that means that you need to quit the job, quit the job. If that means that you need to divorce, divorce. If that means that you need to fire him as a customer, fire him as a customer. There will be jobs, there will be money, there will be another customers, but protect yourself because that could be dangerous. And the more love you give, the less bullies you will find.
I think that's important, that thought of it's not about rescuing and saving the other one, but about rescuing and saving myself. It's not about thinking the other one will change next time.
Yeah, I believe that we have the responsibility of becoming the absolutely best version of ourselves, each one of us. What is that? Well, you will discover it. Is it to be a mother? Is it to be a painter? Or is it to be a writer? Or is it, what it is for you is your own personal stories, your sacrifice. What are you going to give yourself sacredly into? That's your responsibility. So somebody else is not doing his or her work. That's her responsibility. That's the limit. And that's also very feminine, because we are built to care. And it's very good to care babies who are in the womb and babies until 9 months old. As soon as your baby is 9 months old, because that's where the mirror neurons kick off, when they start realizing that they are not the mother, you have to start letting them go so that you become the empowering mother, not the devouring mother. Your husband is not your child. Don't solve his problems. Your child is 2-3 years old. Let him tie his shoelaces. Your customer is not less than 9 months old. Let him do the things. You don't have to save everybody. Become empowering.
Become empowering. And how do I change my relationship with money? What have you found from your experience? What are the biggest obstacles for us women to make money?
Well, you know, we've been talking a lot about the mindset. Definitely you have to do your inner work, but then you have to build a practice. You have to build a practice. Every single morning, myself and my customers, we wake up in the morning and we do our little ritual. We do our little ritual of remembering our worth, remembering the things that we stand for, what we want to achieve in the coming year, and make a plan. I list the 3 things that I'm going to do that day, and I do them before 12 o'clock. So you have to have the mindset work, the shadow work, you do it, and then afterwards you need habits and environment. If you don't have habits and environment, you are not going to do it. And within the habits and environment, you have to level yourself up. Like I told you the story that I charged 0 and then I charged 20. It took emotional effort to go from 0 to 20. How was I able to do that? To do my emotional work and to be in the environment of sisters that helped me to go from 0 to 20. Then I went from 20 to 150 and etc. All the jumps that I have made. So habits and environment. Make sure you back up your good intentions with daily rituals, daily habits. And make sure you cover these habits with a nice environment of sisters. And you can start with one sister that is going to help you. Another woman, you can hire a mentor. You can look for a sister, another woman who is doing the kind of business that you're doing, and start meeting her every week.
I call it an accountability partner. That support, that holding, that really, really helps. Yeah. And those rituals, I always say it's a little bit like a muscle.
Exactly.
You go to the gym and you train your muscles and you're looking good and you're feeling healthy, and then you stop for 3 months and guess what? Your muscles do the same. They're just like, and it's the same with rituals. When customers come and say, well, in the morning, I think about what I'm doing. I said, well, no, that's already the first mistake. You should know already what you're doing in the morning.
Absolutely.
And not deciding if you feel like it or not, but you just do it.
I go a lot on the subject of the feminine. And I tell you, the story of my life is I hated my mother, then I hated my father. I hated all the feminine, and then I hated all the masculine. If we are going to be successful, we women, in changing the economy in the future, we have to reconcile with the mother, we have to reconcile with the father. Yes, wearing skirts, being in silence, having flowers, okay, do the feminine, really well. Well, we have to reconcile with the masculine. Please do your profit and loss, your cash flow, your daily planning from this time to this time. Calculate, do you have more cost than sales? Well, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. Put your hat of the CFO in your company, or your operations manager. What are you going to do? What money is going to take? Is there a customer that is just taking more and more time from you and not giving you anything? Is there a marketing effort that is taking more of your effort and not giving you anything in return? Don't fire the masculine from your business. Bring the masculine on. You are intelligent, and really, the business thing is very easy. I want to sum up everything that all the MBA business, you have to add more value to the customer than the money that he gives you. That will make you a millionaire. And you have to spend less money to run your business than the money that gets in. That's all. Everything else is overcomplication of things. Stay in the most simple way, and you are going to create a fantastic business, a business that makes you happy and makes many, many people happy.
Looking back at what you said, what happened at the crossing point when you moved from masculine to feminine was that question, what do you love doing? The way you said it, you had 2% in your life of things that you love. If that's what you find when you make that list, sit down, write down what you love doing, and then look at your life and saying, well, how much of that am I actually doing?
Yeah.
And if that's not the case, if you're not in a good double-digit figure, woman, change something.
Yeah. And I make it a daily practice of, do I like this cup of coffee? Do I like this cup? Mm-hmm. Do I like whatever is in there? And sometimes I really tell my family, my children, my husband, I don't like to live life this way. We have to change that. I don't like eating this. I don't like arguments. I don't like a dirty house. I don't like to be late for an appointment. I don't want to live my life that way. This is just not okay. And then make the correction right now. Because if you are clear of where you are going, it's really easy to get there. It's just very easy. But if you don't know where you are going, it is very easy not to get there. It's very easy to really quickly get to a place that you will feel absolutely miserable.
There is that, I don't know if you ever watched that movie, and you think it's called Runaway Bride.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's perfect.
There is that one scene where he asks her, well, how do you like your ex?
Yes.
And that is like, how do you like your ex? And depending on the guy she's with, she liked her ex differently. So it's for me to, know exactly how I like to live my life. What is my dream life? What does it look like? Yeah. And what can I do? What mini step can I take today? Not tomorrow.
Yeah, not tomorrow.
Today, now.
Yeah.
To move towards that.
I tell you the mini steps. When I was in that job that did not satisfy me, lovely people, I mean, really lovely people. I used to work in the European Space Agency building for a subcontractor, hiring, firing, all kind of stuff. So everything was about science. My world was between changing the toilet paper to providing a scientist. So I was, doing things that were not beautiful, really. So I longed for Paris, but I couldn't move. How could I change all my reality in a tiny way? So you know what I did? I made the ritual of every Sunday have croissants and really good coffee in my house. So I made sure that I had everything to have that coffee and those croissants every Sunday. So you cannot move country, you cannot divorce the husband or fire that customer. Do something really tiny that reminds you of your values. Mm-hmm. And I think we women really will like beauty. Mm-hmm. Make beautiful your space, a cup of coffee, the shoes you like, the one thing that I tell all women, and that changes their life radically, is to buy the bed sheets they love. And it's incredible. You know why? Because we spend 1/3 of our life in bed. So when they move 33% of their life, they get so much leverage that they start changing their businesses, their careers, their marriage, their everything. So the easiest way to start changing your life, go and buy new bed sheets.
And I love the idea of that Sunday croissant with a really, really good cup of coffee. So you see, it doesn't take much. It just takes a little bit of daring and speaking out to your family and to your colleagues and saying, look, this is how I want it.
This is how I want it. This is how I want it. And at that time, you know, what I did is that I took chocolates to all the meetings I went. Seriously. And then I took flowers to all the secretaries, and I just made it beautiful. Even if we were talking about rockets and toilet paper, I just made sure that we had beautiful bonbons, macaron, and I don't know, but I made it beautiful. I made sure that there was beauty where I was. Nobody was doing business like that. All my colleagues were men.
I'm a big fan of win-win, because you only make a good contract if you can repeat the contract.
Exactly.
If you make the best contract for your business or for your company, for your employee, by ripping off the other side, well, you win once and that's it. So I'm a big fan of give and take, and that whole concept of win-win. It's a little bit give and take and building relationships. And I think this is what you describe by bringing chocolate to a meeting or bringing flowers to a secretary. I mean, you can call it beauty, but what I also see is building relationships.
Absolutely. But you know that the thing was started very selfish in the sense of, how do I want my life?
Yeah.
I want to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, honestly, that's a meditation that I have. Radical selfishness brings you wonders, because when you are the happiest, implies that you want the best for everybody. So I adore my husband, and I really want to be with him like forever, because he's amazing. So because I want to be selfishly happy, then I have a good relationship with him. Or I really want a very good future with my children, and I want to see my grandchildren, so therefore I have a good relationship with them. Because I want to be great service for my customer, as I selfishly give them the best possible service I can think of. Mm-hmm. So this is the way I see selfishness. If you really build a life around making the best life that you can for yourself, then you're of best service in all areas of your life. Mm. So let's say hedonism of eating the cake. No, eating the cake, because that's really short-term hedonism. If you really, really love yourself, you exercise and you eat the carrot because you really want to have an amazing, amazing life. So be radical selfish of your perfect ideal life. That's the aim.
I like that. because you look deeper. It's not the short-term gain you're going for. It's the mid and long-term intention and call it profit intention, motivation, that pushes you towards doing things that I think people wouldn't connect to radical selfishness. But if you explain it obviously in that way, it's like, well, because I want that, I do all of that. What can we, for practical steps, can we leave our listeners and viewers with to move towards a self-worth, a good relationship with money, a life where they're saying, well, it's not just 2% that I love, but it's like,
awesome. I came up with 3. I was brainstorming on that. What will there be? So this business is everything about awareness. So the number 1 is about educating yourself. Educating yourself about the past of women. So read the history of women. Read biographies. Read novels. Go historical. And see the future. What's the future? The future of women. Look at the history of women and all the women, the stories that they haven't told us. For example, one of the things that I knew is that in the Second World War, they were female executioners. in Nazi Germany. There were female executionists. I found that fascinating because we can be bad. We can be bad. And to see that is quite interesting. We are not the victim. Mm-hmm. So the idea is that we get out the idea of the victim. That in the gold rush, there were women who were not just the prostitutes in the brothels, but there were women looking for gold. I found that fascinating. Look for stories of women that you never knew about, so that you expand the colors, that you expand your concept of what feminine is. Mm-hmm. Feminine is not just pink. Mm-hmm. It's red and it's green and it's purple and it's black and there are so many different ways of being a woman. So educate yourself. Number 2, start changing your vocabulary. Start changing the way you speak. It's very powerful. We are working in improving our memory, and recently I had forgotten my keys. And I said, I forgot my keys. And my husband tells me, no, you did not forget your keys. You just remember that your keys are still upstairs. So start reframing things. I am sorry. Take that sentence away from your vocabulary. If you are actually sorry for something that you did wrong, you can say, I apologize for hurting you if you hurt somebody. But if you were late to a meeting, you can say, thank you so much for waiting for me. So change your words. Change your words in the price that you will pay for my product, into the investment that you will make on this service. Change your words and start playing with that. And the third one is really physical. Start practicing taking space. Just take space. What we usually do, women, is we cross our legs and we sit really small as possible, and we just don't put our shoulders here inside because they will, God forbid, will see our breast. Well, put your shoulders back, expand, let your lungs full of air. It's very good for you. Oxygen will go to your brain. You will become more intelligent, and you will become more visible, and you will become more sexy. And take space. Yeah. Take space physically, take space in what you write in social media, take space when somebody asks you a question, answer in your bed. Take space if you are single, sleep in all the bed. If you are married, sleep in all the bed. Take space. When you take space physically, you are going to be able to say, I charge 1,000 euros. And just carries the empty space of the silence. You don't need to explain. You have already connected with that person with what you are doing. These are the 3 tips that I give you, very clear. Educate yourself, mind your words, and practice taking space. And that, within the context that I told you, the 3 things. Do your inner work, create habits that work, and do it in community.
Blanca, was there a question that you wished I had asked and I didn't? Now would be the moment for you to answer it. Or is there something where you say, this is so close to my heart, I need to say it 4 or 5 more times so people really, 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 really hear it?
I want to go back to the conversation from the beginning when you read what I think, that the future of humanity and the future of the economy will be better if we allow the feminine to thrive. I love men and I love the masculine, but we've been walking just with one leg for 5,000 years. It is time to use the other leg. And it is time of reconciliation. We cannot be angry at men. We cannot be angry at ourselves, and we cannot be angry at each other. It is time for a new consciousness that is feminine, and what is feminine is inclusive. Inclusive of all points of view, on all different ways of doing things. And this is what is going to save the planet, to get all together in a strong way. But for that, we need to forgive and reconcile. Forgive everything that went wrong in the past 5,000 years, and be present and mindful, and have a vision of what we want in the future. So, awareness, forgiveness, reconciliation, and creation in inclusiveness and cooperation. We do not have the same opinion, all humanity, of what we want to create. That's okay. But still I can do my painting. That's okay. But still I can raise my child. That's okay. Still I can bake a cake. Don't lose hope by the fact that we disagree, all humanity. Start building your beautiful reality, and people are going to come to you. So there is hope, and it is not heavy. As we do it together, it's going to be light.
I don't think there's more to say. Blanca, you lifted me up today.
Oh, delighted.
So thank you very much for coming and talking to me.